Okay,
All right, let's dive into that.
on to the next one.
Can you back it up one there, yeah?
Sure.
Back it up. Actually, back it up to the first map.
The first map. This one?
One that shows all the uses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the white parts.
Cross hatching and stuff?
Yeah, no, it's at the ship routes. Right?
These lines.
Ships going way up.
Yeah.
No, there's probably up in the mountains or somewhere.
Well, this
Oh,
inside passage, I think that's.
You can't quite see the water underneath, but
Is that the
go ahead and
So that's a right depiction of that? Because I'm not really sure.
Yes, and I think they go up the inside there.
That's Tommy Channel.
It's deceiving them.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it
Princess
does-
Royal Beach.
It does look like they're taking a detour straight to the coast now.
This,
I don't see any of the big ones. Those are those little ones that go with the individual, like the ferry that comes here. Okay, most of the time, those bigger cruise ships and stuff can't come through in these areas because of the shallowness of the water, but they do sometimes come through. And you're looking at them like, how in the world would they fit through all those buildings? You know,
Yeah, no,
missions.
you're very right. And there's a lot of different kinds of shipping traffic, and they're going to all kinds of different places on the
Does
coast.
it also include, say, those, like, oil tanker things, or is that just a cruise
Well, we
ships?
could definitely add more themes to this map that would show different kinds of shipping traffic. If we added a theme that showed, where are big tankers carrying different products, whether it be water, okay, or
Actually, there have been some big ships that come in this area because we've got, I guess you'd call it good water. Water
Yeah.
that's not polluted too much, and there's a lot of it. There are people that are actually coming in, taking water from our areas without anyone knowing, and shipping it over to other countries.
So you're absolutely right in that we could add a lot of information to this map. All we're trying to show is that even with this short list of things,
There is a lot of
there's a lot
troubles.
going on. And if we stuck everything on there, you wouldn't see the blue of the water or something, right? There's a lot of things that are happening, and they're not always happening at the same time in the same place.
Does this also cover, I don't think you guys have them, but airplane routes?
Well, this map doesn't cover that. I'm not sure what exists in terms of information about airplane routes.
Which is scary.
Yeah, it means we have a lot of responsibility to make sure that we're managing all that stuff in a coordinated and sustainable way. So that's why we're here. So what I'd like to do now is sort of jump to a bit more detail about the engagement strategy. So if that's the planning process, this presentation is really about how do we engage all of the different interest groups and communities in that planning process. And so to try and hash out an approach to that, we've developed what we're calling an engagement strategy, and that's the document that you have with you here tonight. And this is the piece of our work right now that we're really looking for your feedback on. So what I'll do is I'll tell you a little bit about where this engagement strategy came from. We didn't just pull it out of thin air. We'll tell you a little bit about what we've been hearing from other communities and from other interest groups about how they want to be engaged. And then we'll describe the engagement strategy and tell you a little bit about where we're going after this meeting. So where did this strategy come from? So if we go back to that forum in March of 2009, one of the things we talked about in that meeting was just some early discussion around how do we engage with people in the planning process. If it's intended to be collaborative, how do we collaborate? Following that forum, we had a number of follow-up meetings where we had a bit more detailed discussion about these kinds of questions, and that all led to sort of drafting a very basic version of the document that you see now and taking that out for stakeholder review. So that basic document was posted in fall of 2009, and it outlined this basic structure that is meant to describe how do governments and First Nations and stakeholders all work together in the planning process. And there are a couple of basic elements here. So on the left is an advisory committee, and this is where we're imagining that all of the different interested parties are coming together to have one discussion about what this plan should look like. And that this committee, in order to convene meetings and prepare materials for it, needs to be supported by some kind of body that does the technical work and the administrative work and the coordination work to prepare meetings, to write documents, to do analyses, to basically move the process forward from day to day. So that's me, that's Steve, that's Hillary, that's Ken over there. There are some others who are involved from different federal agencies and from other First Nations organizations. So we're sort of the people on the ground that are doing the grunt work. And all of this is also supported by what we're calling a governance framework. And within this governance framework, there are three sort of bubbles there. First Nations and federal agencies are collaborating on this initiative through a collaborative governance memorandum of understanding that creates what's called a bilateral coordination steering committee. And that's where leaders from First Nations organizations and leaders from different federal government agencies, including DFO, Parks Canada, Environment Canada, Natural Resources Canada, all are having a discussion about providing the strategic direction to this initiative. And they're also providing the direction to this planning office. Now, in addition to that, there are places where federal agencies speak to one another about oceans management issues, and there are places where federal and provincial agencies speak to one another about oceans management issues. Currently, the reason the province is in this dotted box with a dotted line here is that they're currently involved as an observer to this process, but the door remains open for them to choose to become more involved if they see it in their interest. Now, at a working level, there are two provincial representatives who participate on the planning office as observers and contribute input and participate in discussions. Al?
Yeah, Neil, why is there no arrow between First Nations and the province?
Well, in terms of marine sort of oceans management and how PNCIMA is being governed, there isn't any formal relationship at the moment between First Nations and the provincial government. And I'll invite Ken or Steve to sort of add to that. You're probably better to speak to it than I.
Actually, it probably should be a dotted line because we do speak with a lot of provincial agencies and staff about some of the activities that occur, and certainly can be some of the conversations we had earlier, some of those conversations ongoing. So.
Should be a dotted line because from a parks perspective, with the province, there is a marine component to the treasure protected areas, which the province is interested in coordinating. That we're in direct consultation as recommendations to the management plan. But a lot of those recommendations, those areas would remain draft until they go through this process. So there is a direct